If you've ever wanted to be a pilot, here is your chance. Stay tuned for this one, everyone. Welcome everyone to Your Little Castle Show. We get to enjoy life and fun and all the good stuff on this planet by virtue of good relationships and people you get to meet. I got really excited when my assistant called you guys and said, hey, we'd like to talk about what it's like to be a pilot on our show. Not a pilot like of the show, but like a pilot of a plane. These fun crafts that if you could ever fly one, would that be unbelievable? That's not possible. How can you become a pilot of a plane? Well, we do know there are schools out there. In the building, everybody, Bob Mader and Ann McLaughlin. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, you did.
And both pilots and instructors.
Yes.
Gateway Flight Training. I didn't have to read it. I got it memorized. It's made such an impression on me already because I got to fly a plane, everybody. We're going to show you some clips from that here in just a minute. First, let's give a shout out here. I'd like to use our wide cam. Take a look here. This is Your Little Castle studio because you like nice things in your little castle. And if you have a castle, you probably enjoy every part of this planet. But maybe you get to have an aerial view of your own residence. If you live in St. Louis,
sure.
I got to kind of fly over my own house. I'm not too far from Creve Coeur Airport because you like nice things in your little castle, including maybe a private flight. I know one of my past guests had a private plane. I'm not sure if they were creepy. Yeah, they were actually. That's where I picked up it was a helicopter at one time, and that's a private discussion because they're doing other things now. And I'm like, but it was fun, man. It was cool flying up, and that was a helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and not near as high, and the sight wasn't quite as exciting because on a helicopter, I guess you can go higher.
Oh yeah,
we didn't. We were. I could like throw a softball, and I was like, if we go, what do you think happens here? We're close to the ground. The plane, man, it was so cool with Bob. That was really neat. But take a chance to do that, and then you might as well, while you're planning for your future and you're enjoying your flights around the world, learn a little bit about gold. My Metal Pro has been our sponsor now for a while, and if you're looking to get precious metals, here is something that you will want to learn about. Here's a Kennedy coin right here. So our sponsor, My Metal Pro. Get yourself, learn about metals, learn about gold and thereof, because gold has gone off the charts with regard to value, outperforming the S&P. My Metal Pro, where you can learn a lot about gold and silver, and I've got a whole bunch of videos out there that I put out there for everybody. All right, with that, let's get back to what we want to talk about today. I'll put up on the wall. TV wall number 1, your website. TV wall number 2, got a fun fan page out there. And Ann, with her name up there, I'm going to put the business title up there too. But all right, so different paths. Obviously, you guys are probably not quite the same age. I'm guessing.
Just a little bit, not quite, just a little different.
All right, but talk about it. I guess Ann, I'll start with you. Your path and what led you here, and why did you decide to get into becoming a pilot and then a
flight instructor.
Flight instructor. Not a pilot trainer, but a flight instructor. That's what it says on that does say that on the title up there. Tell me more about it. Why did you decide this is the path you wanted to?
I always grew up in aviation. My dad is a pilot, and he works for the airlines. And so him being a pilot, all of his friends, of course, were pilots. And I grew up a lot around aviation, and in particular general aviation, which is kind of the sector we fall into within flight training. And I just kind of fell in love with it at a young age. I found it so fascinating and fun being in the aircrafts. And I didn't consider, I can be a pilot until I got a bit older and the opportunity came to me and I took a discovery flight. And if you ask anyone about a discovery flight, they will all say pretty much the same thing. You get in the plane, you're like, oh my goodness, how could I do anything besides this? And that's where it started. And I've been flying ever since.
And now 2 years as an actual
flight instructor, yes.
And was that a natural progression, or were you just like, hey, I think I could do this, or you're like, no, I want to do that from the beginning?
I didn't know from the beginning, actually. I think I had a lot of, reservations about instructing because I knew if I was going to instruct, I wanted to do the best instruction possible, and I think I put that kind of inner pressure on myself. But I found some excellent mentors, and that's a huge thing in aviation, is finding good people to, vision yourself after. Bob is one.
I don't know about that.
Bob does know what he's doing.
He does.
I learned.
He's excellent.
We had a thorough. We got lots of video here. We'll share it publicly on YouTube. You get to watch everything on the show. We're going to give some clips.
Yeah.
We only have 28 minutes to talk about today.
I could talk forever. But yeah, instructing is amazing. I love instructing. I started doing it, and it is so rewarding. And working with people, it's kind of different from teaching, because you're working with people who are so passionate about the subject and work so hard, and you get to be there to help them go through all their certificates that they're looking for. And yeah, it's a very rewarding job.
All right, now we get to talk about the guy who's been doing this for a little while. Bob, you're the chief flight instructor there?
Yeah.
Gateway?
Yeah.
Flight train. Why did you get into this? I mean, you told me your story a little bit, but for everybody else who...
Well, I started out, I've always liked airplanes. I grew up in Chicago, in the Chicago area, Chicago suburbs, literally under the approaches to O'Hare. And I used to like watching the planes go in, and I always wanted to do it. And very fortunate to be able to do it a little later in life. I started out just wanting to be a private pilot, just go buzzing around. And then I just kept going. Next thing I knew, I had the progression is from private pilot to instrument rated to commercial pilot, and that's not airline. Commercial is the equivalent of a limo driver's license.
Okay.
And then I became a flight instructor. I discovered that I really enjoyed being with the flight instructors, talking about how to learn how to fly, teaching this. I was very fortunate to have some very good mentors here in the St. Louis area as I was working towards my instructor certificate. And the joke I tell my students is I started out as a private pilot, and one day I looked up and discovered I was a multi-engine flight instructor. And how that actually happened, I'm not quite sure. I've got logbooks that document everything, but it's been a fun ride for the last 30 years.
Yeah, I guess there's a variation, obviously, between the smaller. I flew a Beechcraft.
Beechcraft.
What was the model that I flew?
It's called officially. It's a Beach Sundowner.
Sundowner.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the capacity? 150 horse, I remember.
180.
180. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it would seem like, I guess, with a plane, there's not a whole lot. I mean, cars, they suit these things up to be 500 horsepower, but they also weigh a lot more too, I guess.
Oh yeah. Well, my wife and I own a really nice airplane, 285 horse. It's the airplane, the big brother of the airplane you flew in, and it goes about, in terms of miles an hour, about 100 miles an hour faster than the one you flew in. So.
Yeah, I felt, well, when you're up there, you don't realize how fast you're going because it's very soft and subtle and just floating above everybody. And then you look down, you're like, we went from here to there, like very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
And what was the average speed that we were going over?
We were doing in knots. We were doing about 105 knots, so which meant in miles per hour terms about 115 miles an hour.
Yeah. You don't do that in a car very often unless you're like on some kind of a crazy goose chase or something. But up there it was just like, in a car you're like, but an airplane you're just floating up there, and all of a sudden you look. We went around the entire metro St. Louis area in about an hour and 6 minutes or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was impressive. All right, and that's what I'm saying. So then from the smaller aircraft up to the next 4, 6, 8 seaters, and then you get into jets, and there's 10, 20 seaters. Can you fly a jet? Is that?
I don't have any type rating. That requires a type rating. I don't have any type ratings, and maybe someday. I'm still young, relatively young, and I got a few years left. It's just haven't had the opportunity or really thought about it. I'm having too much fun teaching people to fly. But there are people like, just for fun, John Travolta, who owns a 747.
Does he fly his own 747?
Yes, he does. He's a very accomplished pilot.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Okay, and that's what we're talking about. So anywhere from, and you can get into a plane. We're getting off the beaten path here. I like to sometimes go off my own list, but try to stay structured. But literally, you can. What's the lowest end to, if you wanted to? You can rent them, obviously.
You can rent aircraft, yes.
Instead of having to own it, and then you can. And where does that start? And then you can buy an older plane. The way we maintain planes is like blows away anything anybody ever does with a car. Unless you got like some people hold their classic cars and they treat them like babies. But planes, like, they can be much older, but they are so meticulously maintained, they can last 30, 40, 50, 60 years.
The oldest plane I've flown, and I'll let Ann talk, the oldest plane I've flown was the Ford Trimotor, and I think that's a 1929 airplane. I had the privilege of being able to get about a half an hour of time flying it.
1929.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's still flying. It flies around the country.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a beautiful plane.
Yeah.
And talk about that.
Oldest plane for me was a 1930s Luscombe. So it's a tail dragger. It's, about like maybe the start of trainer aircrafts, what it would have been at the time it was created. And it's a beautiful plane. It won't take you fast, but I do love tail draggers.
Okay,
And tail wheel.
tail wheel airplane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means that there's actual one wheel that sticks out the back end.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and that's versus.
Versus
Okay.
we have our tricycle gear, which is the Beechcraft that you flew,
Right.
and it has the nose wheel in the front and your two mains.
Okay, yeah, I mean they're not real complicated. 3 wheels. Most people are like, you don't
Yeah.
have 3 wheels on a plane, but you got those big wings. That's what really matters. And we'll talk about when I got to enjoy Bob landing the plane. I just knew I was just confident because when I got up there, I'm like, this guy's a pro. There's really nothing to worry about because he wouldn't be flying it if there was any reason not to, right?
Yeah,
We
he
went
is a
through
pro.
went through a check. And I mean, literally every what are the levels, what are the gauges, everything had to be checked. Car, we just get in the car and go.
Right.
One of the most important things that you need to learn in aviation is when not to go. Whether it's mechanical, weather, your own personal health, your attitude for the day.
Right.
If you're in a really bad mood, probably a good idea to stay at home.
Don't get in a plane.
Don't get in a plane or have somebody else fly the airplane. I'm not.
That's your
Yeah.
flyer.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. All right. What is it about this that fuels your passion? Let's start off with you here, Ann.
I kind of briefly touched on it. It's rewarding to instruct. Instructing kind of brought a new love into aviation for me. I always loved general aviation in general. I always try to seek different certificates, even if it's a little bit off the beaten path, seaplane and then the tail wheel and so on. But when I started instructing, just seeing the students coming in with the passion and the interest and something I was passionate and interested in as well. And then you get to help them to get and reach their goals and their dreams that they've always wanted. Each person is so different, and you get to form a kind of bond with your students and help them, achieve those dreams. And it's just one of the most rewarding things I've ever done.
Yeah, I would say it's a lot to be able to fly a plane to begin with.
Right.
I mean, that's just another sense of freedom and just on my flight. All right, we're going to show a little bit of the clip here, but you're just like, it's almost euphoric. You're above any normal perspective that any human has. And I was making a joke. Well, people have flown in commercial airplanes. Yeah, if you like looking out this little window and you can see over here and you kind of poke your head up, but that's not nearly the experience you have when you get to sit in front of the cockpit or in the cockpit and you've got windows all around you and just looking all over. I'm looking all the way over towards New Jersey and all the way towards
Yeah.
We weren't quite that.
towards it, but not
You're
towards
talking.
it.
You're
What's the-
talking.
what's the mileage?
I don't know. At 2,000 feet above the ground, I did.
Yeah. Our discovery flights, we stay pretty low.
Probably about 30, 40 miles. Something
Yeah,
like
so that's
that.
what I'm saying. But I'm going all the way to O'Fallon, Missouri, and all the way to O'Fallon, Illinois.
Yeah.
And then south of, a little short of Mount Vernon, I guess, or whatever. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's an incredible perspective to have. Because I normally look out my window in my house, and I'm like, oh, I can see down to the end of the street. And I can see,
Yeah.
if I'm on my second, I got 2-story, right? I can see over to the bridge, but that's not too far compared to, I mean, this is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Check it out, everybody. You'll want to do this. Great experience, at least to take the test pilot. The test that Discovery, is that what you call it? That's where people
It's an introductory flight. That's what it is.
And it logs hours. I got an
It
hour.
does.
You have a logbook. I signed it. It's a valid logbook. It's valid. It counts towards your certificate.
Yeah, how many hours do you have to have before you get to whatever the first level is?
For private pilot, it's 40 hours.
Okay.
The way I like to explain it to prospects is 20 hours with an instructor, 10 hours solo, 10 hours nobody knows what it is. It's not defined in the regulations,
Okay.
but it's time in the book. The national average right now, I'm going to hear somebody's going to tell me that I'm wrong here, but I believe the national average right now is about 65 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds right.
And the 65, where that comes from, is no good instructor will send you before you're ready to pass your ride. My philosophy is, you pass your ride, I'm the one who fails it.
Okay. there's a lot that goes into this, and you want to make sure that you don't want somebody taking it once and failing, taking it again, failing.
It's not good for them, and it's not good for me. I probably, I don't know about Ann, but I probably sweat my students' practical tests more than they do.
Oh, I definitely do.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, me and him will be pacing on the sidelines when we send them off for their first solo. We send them off with a thumbs up and you got this, you're ready to go, but we're definitely more nervous than they are.
Okay, well, yeah, I can imagine that's your protege, right? That's somebody you're training to take on the world, and then a lot of with great power comes great responsibility. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So write that one down, everybody. Break out our pencil. Remember, you're flying a plane at this point, and lots of things you have to be wary of, concerned with, and lots of responsibility there. Very cool. All right, let's take a couple look here at some of your guys' reviews. You guys have a lot of people that say wonderful things about you, and we'd like to share a little bit of that. So we'll put those up on the wall here so that people can see. But yeah, a ton of reviews out there, almost all 5 stars. And I'm just going to read over one. I got my private license here, had nothing. What's it saying there? Nothing
But
positive experiences. Everything is super friendly, knowledgeable, and literally makes it very exciting for anybody. Definitely the best place to train in the area. That's got to make you feel kind of cool. And then Charles says, I reached out to Brian Borton, who runs the operations at Creve Coeur Airport. He and I work to fulfill a dream I've always had since childhood. I wanted to fly the skies as a pilot over the skies. All right, now you're helping people fulfill their dreams. What's that feel? I mean, what's that like?
you want to take that one, or you want me to?
You go ahead.
For me, there's something really exciting about somebody at any age that has worked hard. They've achieved it. They come in trepidatious like you were. You were nervous. I'm getting in this little aluminum box. What are we doing here? Right. And then we take them out and we show them that how to manage the risk in aviation. There's risk in everything, right? You're a Cardinals fan. There's a risk of getting hit by a foul ball, right?
It's happened.
Yep. So how to mitigate the risk? Okay. How to make good decisions about whether or not to fly. How to make the decisions while in flight, aeronautical decision making, and the continuous feedback loop that you have as a pilot and during your flight, and watching them grow from. Here, you move that, you wiggle this, move this, and do that, and things happen, to them making solid decisions. And probably, as I tell my students, when I'm not talking, you're probably doing really well.
Okay, there we go. Mm-hmm. You're talking about the community getting involved there. That's where we put the hat on. People are being cowboys going out there. Oh, I can fly this plane. Here we go. Mm-hmm. All right. And we're going to take a quick break. Think about what you want to talk about with regard to that last question. And I want to give a little shout out. We're going to have a quick clip that we recorded. This is Bob and I doing our pre-flight check.
Pre-flight inspection.
Okay. And tell me what you think of this, everybody. And then we got a little promo for you, too. Here we go. Hey, everybody. Cardinal Cowboy here. Another leader in our community. Paul Carlo. Paul, you've been working with boxing therapy now for a long time. Tell me what you do up there at boxing therapy, located right here in St. Charles.
It's in Frenchtown. We work with kids with autism, mentally disabled kids, kids trying to come off the street, court ordered. Just put them through a little workout, build them confidence, encourage them. We give sessions where, mentors, we can mentor them and just work with kids that need help.
Well, I worked with Dr. Jose. I got to meet him through you.
Dr. Jones.
And Dr. Jose Jones.
Okay.
And he said, they had a great little conversation with me. They really get to help these kids and every kid can get to some point pretty quickly where they were in trouble or they've had some issue. I mean, God knows my mom and dad kept me out of trouble a little bit. But easy for kids to get, but he helps those kids to get back in and learn the skills and stay out of trouble.
Oh, exactly. I mean, there are a lot of kids, things are hard, they have hardship lives and stuff, and some of the inner city kids and don't have a lot of figures, father figures or male figures at all. And they come down there and we just help them any way we can, just give them the best advice we can and do what we can.
Well, it gives them something really cool to look up to. Paul is a continental middleweight champion, by the way. I'm one boxer in the continent and helping kids learn some skills for life. Stay tuned for more, everybody. The
Thank
Golden
you.
Castle Show. Giddy up.
Thanks.
Hey, everybody. We're at Creve Coeur Airport. Gateway flight training. Bob Mader. He's the expert. He's going to take us up in a plane today. This is a Beechcraft.
Beechcraft, correct.
Sundowner.
Sundowner, correct.
And we're going to fly a plane.
Well, first we're gonna make sure we can fly an airplane. Are you excited?
And before that, we got to do pre-game check, right?
Well, pre-flight, yeah, but
Pre-flight.
pre-game check, yeah.
I'm
that's a
the
good way to
pre-game
put
guy,
it.
baseball, Cardinal
you go.
Cowboy.
All
All
right.
right, walk us through here. What do we do? Come on
All right.
up here, Sam.
All right, so the first thing we're gonna do, as we walk out to an airplane, we just look at it. Does it look right? Is it leaning over? Is there a flat tire? Are there fluids dripping out of it? Right now, this looks like a pretty good airplane. So,
All right.
so far. So now, we're gonna come around here, and I'm gonna have you climb up, grab that checklist right there.
Is that white piece of paper?
That white piece of paper.
All right, so you
That big-
grab here, you
Yep,
step
grab
here, and
the-
do
yep.
not step here, but step here.
That is correct.
All right.
I'm gonna go over to the other side.
All right, I'm gonna grab this.
Yeah, don't climb down yet.
Okay.
All right. So, go ahead and grab that piece of paper there. And, no, that's yours.
Okay.
All right, so now, let's come on down. You don't have to, don't make yourself too comfortable because you're going to be getting in and out of the airplane here.
Okay.
So, all right, first things first.
Initial.
Initial. So, first up,
Weather and
I did that on the way here. We've got good weather.
performance regulation, flight plan, file papers, air control, battery on test, small
So,
indicator.
We
Okay.
want to make sure the paperwork's in the airplane. The registration and the airworthiness certificate are down there.
That's this.
Yep, that
Okay.
stuff there.
All right.
And then the manual and the weight and balance are back here
Okay.
for the airplane. These are the required documents.
All right. See?
All right,
So there it was, everybody. We did a little break to our promo for our community before we did that, and then we got to show a little bit of what we were talking about with the pre-flight check. So that's just a piece of it. That ended up being a 20-minute video about pre-flight checking.
Yeah. Now, in fairness, the first few times you do a pre-flight as a student pilot, it takes relatively forever because you are learning how to do it. It's not just look at this, but why are you looking at it? What are you looking for? That type of thing. That airplane takes an experienced pilot, what, 5-6 minutes
Yeah.
to do a full walk around. So it's not always this 20-minute.
Yeah, well, I felt like it might have been 20 minutes because you were literally instructing me and how do you open
Yeah.
it and then check it and what are you looking
Yeah.
at and all that.
And that's exactly what we have to do in the first one.
And you make
Yeah.
sure because
The first few.
it's
yeah.
one of those things where you don't want to skip an important step and all of a sudden they go, oh, we found the plane over here.
Exactly.
Because they didn't check this.
And
Yeah.
and primacy in flight instruction
Yeah.
is so important. If you've ever tried to teach anybody how to break a bad habit, this is where we're coming from. First learned is best learned, and so we want to make sure Ann and I both, and all of us at Gateway, and any good instructor really wants to make sure that you are doing the right thing from the very beginning, because it's really hard to untrain anything.
Very true. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about that with regard to, there's a number of, I like to give a cost analysis. What is somebody gaining for their product, the service that's being offered? A lot of times you get a deck built. Okay, here's what it costs. So you know, your place you can sit on the deck. In this case, it's kind of a little more intangible, but also like you can go from all the way from something that's just purely for their enjoyment, all the way up to helping them train to become a commercial pilot.
Yeah.
And everything in between. And this is where you get started, though. And so give me a little of the range there, if you would, for what it is that people are getting involved with here and why it might be very valuable. I mean, literally, you're killing two birds with one stone, right? I'm starting off my training here just to be a fun pilot on my own and enjoy what I get the scenery, but also that goes towards what I might turn into being an instructor and up to being a commercial jet fighter could play. Does this count?
It could, yeah.
It could.
It could,
Leads to
yeah.
it, I would assume. Yeah.
I would say range is a really good word to use for it, as you said, because what we do is it's instruction with the student and depending on their goals. Bob mentioned earlier you have private, instrument, commercial, and so we have some students come to us and they just want their private, and so we'll give them an individual quote for their private certificate. But if someone wants to go to their ATP, which
Airline transport.
Yeah, their airline transport pilot, they're more than capable to come to us and we can get that for them, and we'll quote them for a bigger package with everything included for it. Right now, for the private pilot, though, what would you say are averages?
I tell people straight up, but budget. You'll hear a lot of people tossing out numbers that are lower than this, but I'll give you what I think is the honest number. Budget $18,000.
Okay.
Just think 18,000, and it doesn't always hit 18,000. It depends on the aptitude of the student. It depends how well they study. Depends whether or not they study between lessons like they're asked to. That type of thing. And what I've just thrown in there is based on roughly the national average. Okay? And if you can beat that $18,000, that's money in your own pocket. And that's my financial incentive to student pilots say, you don't want to spend $18,000? Hit the books.
Okay. A lot of it
That's true.
is on hands learning that you have to
It
take on.
is.
If you don't want to learn yourself while you're studying at home, you're going to teach them. They have to. You don't want anybody to not pass their test,
Yeah.
especially if they fail in something. Make sure they pass this test because the
Yeah.
alternative
Absolutely.
is in
Yeah.
the sky.
And so, yeah, it is a range for each student, and we always stay on top of them too. If someone's kind of getting up there on time and stuff, maybe they're coming not prepared fully to the lesson, that takes more time, and unfortunately, time is money.
Yeah.
So we can get our students down in cost certainly from 18, but by giving them that price that's a bit higher, like Bob said, it's just money in their pocket
Yeah.
because they can save it then for future training.
Well, that also ties into the fact that they could end up flying themselves to events. It saves them a lot of time. So some people, like, if you don't close this deal, it's going to make you $50,000 because you can't get there in time. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said, yeah, we got our pilot's license for a couple of guys that work for us so that they can get us to jump in a plane and we can go close deals around the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that, you miss the deal. And
There
it
you go.
doesn't apply to everybody, but there's a certain time where that could be.
Well, I look at it. Well, we were talking during the break, Carter. You know, my wife and I have a nice airplane that goes fast. Well, we went to see our financial advisor up in Chicago a few months ago, and we flew up for lunch, and it was a 2-hour flight. Had lunch, talked, moved some money around, and came home all in a day. Versus how long on Interstate 55, and then you got to deal with the tri-state in Chicago. No, thanks.
Well said there. I like that. Yeah, I did a similar path, but I did the driving thing, and I drove with my girlfriend to Chicago. We went to we were initially going to stay in Chicago overnight, but we said, well, a hotel room's $180. Let's just drive back. But it was 10 hours of driving to watch 4 hours of baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas it could have been 4 hours of flying in a plane where you're not nearly. It doesn't seem as stressful. I mean, there's a lot of responsibility. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but
Right.
when you're in a plane, you're on a car. I mean, like, you better stay between these lanes. You got to pay attention to all the cars around you. Plane, there's a little more control you have of your own safety, I guess.
And so the value proposition, you know, and again, I deliberately quote a highball price. I don't want to chase anybody away with that price. I'm encouraging people to beat that number, but I'd rather quote a higher number and have people come back and say it wasn't that as expensive as you said it was, rather than give them the bare minimum number and then, oh, well, yeah.
All right, we're going to talk more about that in the second half here, everybody. We got 2 half hours here. Thanks for tuning in for this first half hour. Lots of fun. Stay tuned for more, everybody.